So whilst working as a nurse, I really saw how well I experienced it myself. I saw how difficult it is to be able to have a balanced lifestyle and work balance. Just the rota, the way that you're working so much. Also the other thing, and the hours are quite long. They're usually 12 hours, 13 hours long shifts. Also just the way that the institutionally the dynamics are so different. I did a year in Finland before I came back and started working in England. So I was able to compare the two healthcare systems and just to see how sort of undervalued the healthcare workers are here, the way that they're treated by the public. It's really sad in comparison to other healthcare systems in the world. So whilst I was a nurse, I was just noticing all of these things, and they were just really sort of driving me to find a way to get the message out there that this is what's going on, and try and just not swap, but sort of make people aware and just sort of make them sort of challenge their thoughts and think differently. And then I thought I'd give medicine a go just to see how medicine would be. Whilst I was studying medicine, I noticed that it's really the same. It doesn't matter what ball game you're in, whether you're a nurse or you're a doctor or you're a healthcare system, whatever it is. The general public's perception of you and the institution itself treats you the same way. And like the work-life balance is still bad. It's still, all those things are sort of still there. And I just wanted to sort of get out there and just let people know that this is what's going on. And also what I realized was the unions, such as the Nursing Midwifery Council, the BMA, they are so limited in what they can do. And for example, even nurses themselves in this country, they're also legally not allowed to fully go on strike because they have an obligation to care for the public. So if they do that, who's going to care for the public? So there's so many restraints on what people can do. So the unions can't do much, the nurses can't do much, and the government has really been helping or hasn't been helping for some time now. So I really felt that the only people who could help were the public. And that's why this exhibition was really important for me, to reach as many people as possible, and still is the hope that we can reach as many people as possible and make them understand what's going on.
That's so crazy. Actually, I wasn't aware that they couldn't go on strike.
Not properly. I mean, in Ireland, they've been able to in the past, and I know other places in the world that they legally can. But when you register as a nurse with the Nursing Midwifery Council, you say that you have a legal obligation to the public. So, for example, that means things like if you're on the street and if you see somebody who's, I don't know, harmed or in danger, and you're able to, then you should go. Like legally, you're bound to go help them. And it just the same applies if you're in hospital and if you're asked to do something, you need to do it. So if you've been asked to come and work and that's within your scheduled contract, legally you can't say no, I'm not coming in, unless you're sick and unable to carry out the role. So yeah, they're not really able to strike. Even like doctors as well. I mean, they've striked to a certain extent in the past, but it's always been in a way that is safe for the patients, so that the system still runs. But they have a little bit more of a stronger union, so they've been able to fight that off a little bit more differently than nurses have.
So what do you think, like having seen in Finland versus the UK, what do you think they're doing better than the UK?
So Finland, they have a system where there's a sort of standard price where you, standard cost that you pay when you go into emergency care. And that's, I think at the time it was 30 euros. And that really deterred a lot of people to come in. Even us as students who were foreigners in that country, we were sort of like, you don't want to just go in there for a little reason. If you were able to deal with it at home, you would. And then it just deters people from misusing the emergency practices, basically. And then when you get in, it's means tested. So if you're not able to, let's say you have a chronic condition or you have cancer or something that will require a lot of financial aid, that they will then test your means and then only ask for you to pay what you're capable of paying, not just a standard set of price. And also the different councils and municipalities have a fund where they can help certain individuals, like a large group of individuals. So for example, diabetic patients who have chronic issues like leg ulcers, etc., they sort of get their care already provided by the council. Whereas over here, I just find that, for example, now the question in the news right now is, what are we going to do once lockdown is over? Because people are just going to rush back into A&E, and how is it going to work? And the question is, has the A&E been misused before? And we're realizing that a lot of people perhaps don't need to come into these emergency care units and are doing so. So I think that's just another highlighted difference where it's worked well in Finland and it hasn't here. Also in Finland, they have a mentality where they really value their health. Generally, the people, it's just a sort of standard idea, I think, whilst I was there, I realized if they came into hospital, it was very normal for them to be like, thank you, I appreciate what you're doing. Just little things like that, which here you'd be surprised, but it rarely actually happens for many people in wards. It does in emergency care because obviously quite a lot of people, it's a different environment, full stop. But yeah, so I just noticed those differences. They work really well over there, whereas here we don't.
So the nurses that you've photographed so far, so is that primarily A&E?
No, they're actually from all over the hospital. So there's a few cardiology nurses, there's A&E nurses, there's literally every department in the hospital you can think of. I've probably got at least one nurse from there. I also try to have a mixed range. So I try to get male nurses from different ethnic groups as well, and from different disciplines. So not only adult nursing, but also pediatric nursing is there as well.
And so you said so each image was accompanied by just one word. Was that so what they were feeling at the time that you photographed them, or how did you kind of propose that to them? Was it like?
So when I asked them if I could take a picture of them, I just said, like no cues, just pose the way you would as normal. And I just find like a white wall or a clear space somewhere in the ward or wherever they are. And then the word would be, I'd ask, could you just describe how you feel as a nurse now? That was it. Just in this moment, to capture that particular moment alongside the image, how do you feel now?
And so what kind of words did you, like, examples? What were some of them?
A couple of examples were sad, undervalued, underpaid, overworked, and then there was two overwhelmingly positive words. One was blessed, and the other, I'm just trying to remember, it was, I think, gift. I think they felt like they were giving a gift of care. Yeah, which was nice, really nice.
Yeah, it's sad that even without knowing what your project was kind of about, they would put those words kind of with their, like, undervalued and did you, with the exhibition, did you accompany the photos with the word?
Yeah, so alongside each image, you would find the word right next to it.
So you're gonna kind of expand it, yeah? Like you're intended to.
Yeah, so the idea is, when I displayed it, a lot of like doctors and nurses who weren't in the exhibition themselves, they came and saw it, and they all felt like it was something they'd really like to be a part of. And definitely, I'm hoping after lockdown and people are able to see the exhibition, that it can reach more people. So especially doctors, they really felt like they wanted to have their say, and in a good way. There will be, I'm still trying to figure out exactly how to do it, but I think I'm going to join the two. So have both nurses and doctors in the exhibition, and have the same concept, where just sort of stop them in the middle of work, quickly grab a pic and a word, and just sort of get that message out for the whole clinical team rather than just the nursing team. Yeah, I wanted it to be the nursing team, just because this year is the year of nurses, 2020. So I just kind of thought, it'd be like a great moment to get that word out and just display it in that way. But then, the fact is it affects everybody. But I'm just conscious of not posting such a negative light on it all, because a lot of people enjoy their work, and like we're all there. We're not being forced to be there. So I'm hoping that we may see some nice words this time around as well. Some more nice words.
Yeah, and I was thinking as well that if subjects kind of know what the series is about at this point, they might feel influenced by that as well when you take their photograph. But I guess
I think
you can't control that anyway.
I
Um,
think in terms of, yeah, it was sort of like a social experiment at the beginning because I didn't have any idea what the words would be. I sort of knew the feeling, but I didn't know that they would actually say those words. But I think this time you're right; it may influence it. So the way I display it is going to be different, I guess. Where
mm,
the sort of may separate the face of our nurses and the doctors sort of a little bit, or just sort of the before and the after, sort of before lockdown, after lockdown.
mm,
The concept I think I'm playing with as well.
mm. It's really
Yeah.
interesting. Are you working at the moment? Are you?
Yeah, so I work in 4 different A&Es at the moment. I work mainly working in respiratory medicine normally, but at the moment I'm working in the A&Es.
Oh wow, that's it must be quite a strange time to be working.
Yeah, I mean, it's so weird. It's so weird. I don't know if you've heard in the news that A&E attendance has dropped by 50%.
Mm,
I felt that for maybe the last month in all 4 A&Es that I've been in, and that's the weirdest, strangest feeling. So I think it's going to be interesting. I mean, it's quite worrying for us because what they're saying on the news has been very obvious to us. Where is everyone with the heart attacks? Where is everyone with like the serious conditions? They just haven't been coming in, and when we see
mm,
them, it's quite late. So yeah, it's going to be. I think post lockdown, it's going to be very interesting for everyone in the hospital, just because we're going to have to act quite differently, and we're going to probably be under more pressure than we were at the beginning. We feel at the moment.
kind of like a backlog situation.
Yeah, 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 exactly. And the peak for COVID, in my experience, wasn't that it lasted for about 2 weeks, and it was very intense. But we were able to manage it. Like the NHS was really like everyone really came together to, and especially in the North London sort of trusts, they all worked as a collaborative, and it really worked so well. Where you felt like you could still provide good quality of care even under so much pressure. So now, like post COVID and with the social distancing, etc., I think it's going to be really sort of, yeah, definitely interesting. Definitely interesting.